Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast live. Yes. I got my guys with me. I got my main man, G. What up, G?
You.
Of course, I got my main man, the Transformer. Transformer, what's popping?
Man, nothing but a G thing, bro. What's going on?
Maintaining. And I got a special guest with me. It is Benjamin Arthur, Fox Sports reporter, covering specifically the NFL AFC South. Ben, thanks so much for joining us tonight, man.
Thank you guys for having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do, we're going to get right to it, our NFL divisional preview series. And we're going to start with the AFC South. And we're gonna actually, instead of breaking down each team like we normally like to do, and maybe we can get back around to that later, we're going to start with Ben, who is going to give us a whip around of the division and kind of talk to us about what he sees and what's going on in the division as he's covering it boots on ground. So Ben, why don't you go ahead and start us off, and then from there we'll go with a few individual questions.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think the AFC South is going to be one of the most interesting divisions in the NFL this upcoming season. It might be the most competitive, to be honest. I think a lot of people, at least from a national perspective, think the Texans will just run away with the division after the year they just had.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably number one in my book, but I think this is a really balanced division for the most part. And I think there are some wild cards too, right? Like if Anthony Richardson is healthy for the Colts, plays a full season, and Jonathan Taylor, exactly, that backfield together, I think that's really special. And then Will Levis, I'm really bullish on him.
Me too.
I'm in Nashville. I'm seeing him practice every day and really starting to get on page with these receivers they have. They probably have the best group of receivers they've had since the franchise moved to Tennessee. I mean, between D-Hop, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, they have a couple good tight ends. They added Tony Pollard in the backfield to go with Tajay Spears, who's starting to take away some snaps from Derrick Henry last season. I think if that O-line is better just with the weapons he has, I mean, they're kind of a wild card too. And then we know what the Texans are, what they did last season, what CJ Stroud is seemingly continuing to ascend to be. And then I think Jacksonville could be sneaky good too, because I think this might be the best team they've had around Trevor, at least on paper, since he got to the NFL a few years ago. So I think this is going to be a fun division. So I think those would be my opening thoughts. Again, I think the Texans are maybe still that number one team for obvious reasons, but I think this is going to be a lot more competitive, a lot more balanced than I think the national audience would think off bat.
Okay, well let me start here with this. Since you mentioned the Texans last, and as you mentioned, most people see them as the class of the division. CJ Stroud gets a shiny new toy to play with, and that's going to be Stephon Diggs coming down from Buffalo. Shut up, Transformer. Stephon Diggs coming down from Buffalo. What do you think is going to be the effect of him joining that receiving core in Houston? And the reason I ask is a lot of times when you get that number one receiver, especially with a young quarterback, he's going to feel the need to try to force the ball to him and ensure that he gets his catches, especially I believe this is a contract year for Stephon Diggs as well. So kind of what are your thoughts on how that's going to affect Houston, that offense, what Bobby Slowick wants to do, and of course, CJ Stroud?
I think, first of all, it just makes them that much deeper, that much scarier, that much more lethal, just like if you just start with the receiving standpoint, right? You already have Nico Collins, you have Tank Dell, who's coming back. I mean, you have three guys who could be
a number one.
Yeah, be a number one. I mean, obviously, maybe we haven't seen enough of Tank in the NFL, but just from that small sample size he showed last season, you have really three number one guys. And then they have a really, really good tight end in Dalton Schultz. They have a really, really good running back in Joe Mixon, who's,
that's big. I forgot about that.
Multi-time Pro Bowler. Yeah. And CJ has actually talked about how they have like a 5-headed monster, so to speak. Right. Yeah. And so I think from Stephon Diggs' perspective, like I think he knows like he's going to have to kind of get in line. I think he's very cognizant of maybe the perception out there about him. And you mentioned like his contract, like the Texans, when they traded for him, they wiped out like the final the added years on his deal. So this is a contract year for him. And so I think from his perspective, like if you want to maximize the bag you're going to get, you're going to be in line in Houston in 2024, like be a good teammate, be a good leader,
Yeah.
lead these other top dogs in the receiver room they have, and just kind of be everything kind of CJ Stroud, Bobby Slovic, what they need him to be in that offense. And everything D'Amico Ryans has said to this point has been positive just about what Stephon Diggs has brought to the table. Obviously, it's still just training camp preseason at this point, but I don't know. I don't really foresee that being much of an issue. And just even in the short time, the year of just 1 year of like the D'Amico, CJ Stroud era, like the culture in Houston has completely changed. The standard that they hold themselves to, like I've heard them talk a number of times about just how like not everyone can play in Houston, and that's
crazy
been the case. Like
yeah.
They just hold themselves to a whole different level. I think a winning culture. I think D'Amico brought that from San Francisco, and so yeah, I think overall, number one, I don't think Stephon Diggs will be that much of an issue, just from a antics, diva, whatever you want to call it, perspective. And then I think overall, he just makes them deeper, more lethal. I mean, they have so many weapons on the offensive side that if everyone stays healthy, I think it's going to be really hard to stop them.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So let's bounce around a little bit. 2 out of the 3 of us here are down here in Florida in Duval County. So we are in Jags country. So G is not, as you can tell. G is up in he's up in the Ravens flock. Respect due for that.
That's it. Hey.
But yeah.
Is that it? No, that's not the nose. Okay.
No,
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it right, bro.
AFC South won't win a ring in the next 20 years. So let's just cut to the chase.
Right. So we saw Trevor Lawrence get one of the biggest contracts in history this offseason, in my personal opinion, not one that he deserved. Obviously, I was there when he won his lone playoff game, and it was an incredible comeback against the Chargers. So credit due for that. He has won a playoff game, and it was a tremendous outing. That said, I don't think he was worth that money. How do you think that bodes for the Jaguars franchise going forward? And again, he lost Calvin Ridley. That was a major weapon they had last year. Where are you on the Jags, and what do you see from them this season?
Yeah, I think first of all, on the Trevor Lawrence front, I mean, that's what the going rate for quarterbacks is, regardless of what you think he is or has been or what he should be, whatever. I mean, that's just what quarterbacks are now. I will say, like with Trevor, like, I mean, there was a lot going against him last season. I mean, we could say like he was touted as a generational guy coming out of Clemson.
Correct.
He should have been more than what he is now.
Yes.
But you have to kind of look at that first year with Urban Meyer.
I was about to say, yeah, that's fair.
And then last year, all the injuries they had at wide receiver, the O-line issues they were having, the run game issues they were having. They were awful running the ball. The continuity on the line wasn't there. That, both of those things put a lot of pressure on Trevor. And then he barely practiced the second half of the season.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even remember all the issues, but I know he had the concussion, he had the shoulder issue, ankle issue, knee issue. Like there was a lot going on. So yeah, he should be better, I think, than what he's been now, than what he's proved to be at this point. But at the end of the day, he's still an above average starter in my mind. And I think with the right pieces around him, with the right health around him, from the guys around him and just himself, I mean, I think he's still very capable of leading the Jaguars on a deep playoff run. And I think from the Jaguars' perspective, in terms of giving him that bag, Bruce, I see you shaking your head, but I think just you have to think about where the Jaguars have been as a franchise, right? And just the hope that Trevor has brought. Maybe they're not great, but they've been good, right? They have back-to-back winning seasons for the first time since Lord knows how long. They've had really bad quarterback play prior to Trevor. They have the new stadium coming. I mean, I think all of these macro factors you have to look at when they decided to kind of give Trevor this deal. And so I think it's those things plus the quarterback market, and then in terms of the Jaguars themselves, like I said in the beginning, I think this might be the best team they've had around Trevor. I think the Calvin Ridley thing is going to hurt, but I
I
think
think
in
so too.
time, I think in time, Brian Thomas Jr. could be good. Gabe Davis, I mean, both of those guys are great. Like deep threats will be able to stretch the field, and you look at the advanced numbers for Trevor, like he's been really good actually in the deep passing game. So you get two guys who
Yes, he
are
has.
really equipped to kind of take advantage of that. I think that's a really good situation for the Jags to be in. And then I know there's been a lot made of kind of like the veteran additions they've made too, just guys with conference championship game experience or Super Bowl experience. I think all those things are going to help when you look at how the Jaguars just collapsed at the end of last season. And I think the big thing for me is I'm still not completely sold on their O-line. So I guess we'll kind of see how that shakes out and what the run game is going to look like. Like they're going to need a lot from Tank Bigsby. I mean, Travis Etienne can't do everything. They're
No,
going to need to take the load off him. So I think that's kind of a question mark for me. But overall, I mean, I think this is a solid team. I think they'll be in the playoff hunt. And yeah, I think Trevor will take a step. I don't know if he'll ever be what we touted him to be, but
yeah,
I think he could still be a very good, quarterback consistently in the NFL.
I think he can too. But a big problem for me is all that stuff that you're saying makes a lot of sense, and I'm not pushing back against any of that. The problem is if you are supposed to be what they said you are, and even if you're supposed to be what they paid you as, you're supposed to be able to lift the ship against all these things that are going on and the stuff around you, right? Don't get me wrong. Football is the ultimate team game. Everybody needs, things around them to have success, but the really good ones can lift up an average or above average team. Like, so for everything they say and for what they paid for, he's supposed to be better than this. That's kind of my issue. And I don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, that's very, very valid points, Bruce. But at the same time, like how many times have like the number one overall pick actually lived up, from the quarterback position, actually lived up to that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I know they're different players, but I kind of look at Trevor a little bit as like the Jared Goff type situation. I don't think he's as much of a game manager as Goff was, but they were still able to get to a Super Bowl with him. The Rams were, and now
defense,
crazy defense, and then now he's
lot
had
of
success
weapons.
in Detroit, and now he just got a massive bag. So I think you could still, even if you're not the generational guy everyone thought you should be, even if you're not a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow type of guy to elevate a franchise, if you're that top pick and you could still prove you're really, really good and you can be great in particular years with the right team around you, I think that's good enough, because how many guys are actually transcendent?
Right.
Like the hit rate is so astronomically low that I think saying that Trevor, just because Trevor isn't that, like that we should kind of look down upon what he is to this point. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I guess it's just because of to me, I guess it's just so much of the push and the hype that we heard coming out of college at Clemson. Remember when they won the national championship with him as a freshman? The whole thing was if he could come out right now, he'd be the number one overall pick and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, y'all are gonna see. Like, yeah, he can play, but but I hear what you're saying. So let's go ahead and let's get up to where you are. Let's get up to Nashville and let's talk Titans. And one of the things you mentioned was Will Levis. And
yes, sir.
I don't have a problem with Will Levis. I think a lot of people don't see what maybe you see in Will Levis and what a lot of other people see in Will Levis. But to your point, I didn't realize. I knew about the Calvin Ridley. I didn't realize they had also got was that Taj Boyd,
Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd.
Sorry, yeah, Taj Boyd. That's okay. Yeah, Tyler Boyd from Cincinnati, right? Yeah, right. So I didn't realize they had grabbed him too. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting receiver core that they have there. Talk to us about what you've seen in Will Levis's development, and talk to us about what you see from the Titans overall, new head coach Brian Callahan, etc.
Yeah, I think first of all, Will looks just so much more comfortable, right? And you would hope that being going into year 2 and knowing that you're going to be the full-time starter. We have to remember he started last year as the number 3 and then was elevated to number 1 when Tannehill got hurt like mid-season. And so there's a lot of change and a lot of adjustment going on. And going into this year, like through training camp, like you're really seeing the ease. I think having a very quarterback-friendly offense, a receiver-friendly offense, a pass-first offense has really done a lot for his confidence. I mean, seeing how much the Titans throw the ball in practice is just kind of jaw-dropping to me, having been here the last few years under Mike Vrabel. Like it's complete, and Derrick Henry, like it's night and day.
Right.
Just the emphasis on it. Like they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. They're going to be throwing on early downs. There's a lot more aggressiveness just in terms of throwing the ball. And I think Will really enjoys that. I think his relationship with Brian Callahan to this point is pretty strong. Will has talked about how in Brian Callahan, he has a head coach who feels like more of a friend than any head coach or whatever that he's had. And I think as head coach, you have to kind of balance that line, right, in terms of being hard on a guy and, having a good relationship. But I think they're balancing that line really well. And I think he really empowers Will. Like he's like the Titans have really given the keys of the franchise to Will. They're like, we want you to show us that you're the franchise guy. And I think Will is really running with that confidence. And like I said, I think Will is going to have a better chance at success this year. I mean, I mentioned the receivers, but also the O-line is significantly better. I don't know how much better they'll be much better than last season. I don't know if they'll be a good or great O-line, but I know they can at least be average, especially that they have Bill Callahan, who's one of the best O-line coaches ever.
He comes from O-line. That's right.
Exactly. And that's the new head coach's father. So father, son, coaching together. And so a big thing with Will last year was, number one, he didn't have enough time in the pocket to like really deliver the ball or go through his reads. And number two, the few times he did have enough time, they didn't really have anyone who could beat man coverage besides D-Hop. And they fixed both of those issues, right? They have three guys at receiver. They drafted a left tackle at number 7 overall. They paid Lloyd Cushenberry, who's one of the best centers in the NFL. They've done everything right in terms of giving Will the best chance to succeed. Now it's just kind of up to Will to run with that. So so that's kind of what I'm looking for, because we saw the flashes last year, right? Like beyond the debut game when he maybe kind of caught everybody off guard, there was the Dolphins game, which I think is that game that really caught the Titans' eyes, right? Trailing by double digits with a few minutes left in the fourth quarter. And I believe the Dolphins were the number 1 team in the AFC at the time. And Will led the comeback victory. And there were times I think it was Pittsburgh on Thursday night, he looked really good in that game. So he's shown the flashes, right? And now I think they have the team to where they could see it over an extended period of time.
Very nice. What does Will Levis do best?
What does he do best? That's a good question. His arm strength is definitely up there. He could really sling it. And I think that's why it's going to be so fun to watch him and Calvin Ridley especially when they start to get on time, because they've had a couple of issues just in terms of the timing, right? Because Calvin is so fast, like he's so much faster than other guys. But I think as of late, they've started to catch a little bit of a rhythm. And so I think that deep ball, especially utilizing a guy like Calvin Ridley, his speed, that combination, we're really going to see that. And beyond the arm strength, his toughness. I know that's such a cliche football thing, but as a quarterback, the way he's willing to put his body on the line sometimes.
Absolutely.
Of course you want your quarterback to protect himself at times, but that fires guys up when you're willing to put your body on the line to get that first down. It fires up the O linemen, the backs, the tight ends,
Mhm.
So
But
I
you
think
still
they
got to be
really.
careful with that.
No,
Don't
he
he
does.
doesn't need
That's
to
what
try
I'm
to be
saying.
too tough with that. Right,
No,
right.
that's what I'm saying. Like he does have to balance it, but I
Mhm.
think he's learning to toe that a bit. So I think the two things, arm strength and toughness, are two things that stand out about Will.
So last thing on Will Levis, you mentioned earlier that you feel like they're kind of giving him the keys. Are they allowing him to make checks and audibles at the line and check out of plays or into other ones where he feels comfortable or where he sees something? Is he at that level, or are they still kind of guiding him?
Yeah, he's been doing that. I mean, I think at this point they've just kind of gotten beyond the whole install of
Hmm.
just the new offense, the new
Right.
scheme. So I don't think we've seen anything too crazy, and we've only seen 2 drives from him in the preseason. And I think this joint practices they're going to have with the Seahawks as they kind of ramp up a little bit, we'll see more of that. But Brian Callahan definitely empowers Will to do that. I think it's just a matter of continuing to gain that comfort in the offense to be able to do that consistently is the biggest thing.
Okay. And finally, we briefly mentioned it, but let's take a run to Indianapolis and look at the Colts. Obviously, Anthony Richardson missed a lot of time due to injury last year. Jonathan Taylor missed some time due to injury last year. 2 years ago, I want to say Jonathan Taylor led the league in carries, led the league in rushing, led the league in rushing touchdowns. Had an outstanding year, showed the type of back that he's capable of being when he's healthy and when the Colts offensive line is playing like they're capable of. What do you see in Indianapolis, and what do you think in Shane Steichen's second year? He's had the ability. Obviously, we saw the work that he was able to do with Jalen Hurts, another mobile quarterback. In terms of he was able to help Philly and Jalen Hurts maximize potential and get all the way to the Super Bowl. What do you see there?
Yeah, I mean, the Colts to me, like if Anthony Richardson is healthy, might be the biggest threat to the Texans in the division. I mean, just look at what they did last year when 9-8, they were basically a first down conversion away from uh, being the AFC South champion with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, and they were top 10 in scoring offense with Jonathan Taylor missing 7 games, with Anthony
Mhm.
Richardson missing 13 games, with their right tackle missing like 5 or 6 games. You get all those guys healthy, and then they added AD Mitchell, a really explosive receiver from Texas, first round talent who they got in
Right.
the second round. They already had Michael Pittman Jr. I think this could be a dangerous team. This is the biggest wild card for me, but I
I
think they
agree.
have the most upside if everyone is healthy.
Yeah.
And like we haven't really seen the full extent of the Colts playbook with Anthony Richardson.
Hmm.
And he only played like 173 snaps. Him and Jonathan Taylor only played 2 snaps together last year.
Right.
That's
As
huge.
crazy, yeah,
That
as
is crazy.
That's
crazy,
huge.
as crazy as that is. So, there are plays we haven't seen. There, I think it could get again if he's healthy. Uh, I think they could do some special things for sure.
The key word
That's
is if.
If
yes.
yeah,
And also, obviously, we need Quentin Nelson back to playing at his All Pro level. Go Irish! Got to throw that in there. But no, we need him back to don't even do it. We're gonna see you in November, Transformer, when your nose come up to South Bend. But anyway, that's a different thing. But yeah, no, when you have Quentin Nelson and the rest of that offensive line playing the way they're capable, and then I mean, you have to look at what Shane Steichen does in the RPO game. If you have a healthy Jonathan Taylor and a healthy, a healthy Anthony Richardson, that could be incredibly dangerous. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do this year. So oh, before we get to that, real quick, thanks for everybody who's tuning in. Thank you for those who's in the chat. If you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like and subscribe on the YouTube page. Make sure you click that like. Helps YouTube hit the algorithm and push the show out to more people so we can have more people in the chat, more interaction, all that. All right. Anyway,
Big shout out, Nino.
was about to say, Nino, what's good, brother? Thank you.
Nino.
Steeler Nation. Come on, Nino. Don't get kicked out the chat. You know what, man? You super
Black and
chatted us.
yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
That'll get you this comment for the day. But me and G coming for you. Pause. So be ready. But so Ben, what do you have in terms of the what do you have as the order in the division at the end of the year?
Excellent question.
And we're of course we're assuming health here.
Yeah, assuming health. Okay. So Texans number 1, big shocker, I know.
Right.
Let me say Colts 2. Let me say Colts 2, Titans 3, Jags 4.
So you just finished telling me about how Trevor Lawrence and this and that and the
no. This is why I'm saying this is
Trevor.
If you remember what no, he's not. But if you remember what I said at the very beginning, I think this has the potential to be the most competitive division in the NFL. So even though I'm saying the Jags 4th, I still think all these teams are going to be good to a certain degree. I mean, that's relative, but I don't think anyone is going to get 6 games.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a close, particularly from like maybe the 2 to 4 spot. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd have to say Houston, Indy, Tennessee, Jacksonville.
Okay. So Ben, while we absolutely respect, your closeness and your boots on ground and everything and your knowledge, because you're right there with it, you're knee deep and all that. G, why don't you go ahead and tell them what the real most competitive division in the NFL is? Tell them, G.
The AFC North. I mean, it's
you already know.
Smash my football at its finest.
Don't get G started, man.
Games. On Sundays, like every Sunday is like a Super Bowl game when it comes to the AFC North football.
AFC North is vicious. Yeah, that's the hospital division,
bro.
Right there.
Like it's like you nut, man. And the crazy thing is like we look at longevity, like over the years, like before, we can't go too far back, but the Ray Lewis era, right? Like Ray Lewis and the Steelers. Nino, I see you, Nino. You know, like I know, right? Like right. I know when it came down to football on Sundays. And we played the Steelers, right? We played the Steelers. You know that.
Oh, we're talking 3-6 to score.
Listen, bro, like we playing on Sundays, that Monday is either the best day of the week or it's the worst day of the week. You know what I mean? And so I think the AFC South definitely there's a lot of young talent there, and it's still competitive football, but we the OGs of this thing, we lock in on Sundays.
So Ben, something you mentioned earlier, and I wanted to get back to before we let you go. When it comes to Houston, now we kind of but opposing defensive coordinators, they get paid too. Offense is what sells all the tickets and what everybody in the sports media wants to talk about. But these defensive coaches get paid as well. What do you think is going to be kind of the second year? There's a lot more tape out on Bobby Slowick's offense. There's a lot more tape out on CJ Stroud, what he likes to do. Nico Collins. Obviously, there's plenty of tape for years on Stephon Diggs. How do you think defenses throughout the league are going to kind of react to what Houston is doing? And to your knowledge, has Bobby Slowick and that coaching staff, made the necessary adjustments to kind of stay ahead of that? You can't rest on your laurels. NFL stands for not for long, as you well know.
Yeah, I think, that's kind of that question, that the answer to that question is to be determined, right? Because they haven't seen opposing defenses yet. So I think there's a level of anticipation that comes with that. But until that actually comes, it's hard to say. But yeah, to stop the Texans, honestly, I don't really know how you stop them, because last year, even when you shut down the Texans' run game, you think, oh, that put so much pressure on CJ to carry everything. Well, that didn't matter.
It didn't phase him.
It didn't phase him. He was still able to carry the offense. And now they added Stephon Diggs to that. So, and they have a better running back than they did last year in Joe Mixon. So
that right there, that's the one. That is a dangerous weapon.
Yeah. And I think probably the biggest thing will be the pass catching out of the backfield, right? Because I mean, he'll be a threat between the tackles too, but you put so much effort into like making sure you have the back end on lock if you're the defense, like going to leave open like a lot of yards for Joe Mixon potentially to take advantage of the space in front of him. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I don't really have a good answer for what defenses can do. I think what they'll probably do is look at a lot of the tape from the Ravens game and the divisional game last season and the different pressure packages, just getting like the creativity in it, just kind of throw them off guard a bit. I think that's probably the best way to maybe kind of throw them off their game a bit.
Yeah, you've got to find a way to make CJ Stroud uncomfortable. The way he manipulates the pocket for a young quarterback is super impressive, and you got to find a way to bring pressure from places that he is not expecting. So I mean, of course, that sounds generic, right? That's the way to try and deal with every really good quarterback, but yeah, he's special
for sure.
Yeah. All right, Ben. Transformer, you got anything for Ben before we let him go?
Well, by the time I can get the floor, Jesus Christ, I've been waiting.
Man.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you, brother. No, so I do got a question, man. Do we have any update on B-Hop right now?
D-Hop.
D-Hop, yeah.
Yeah, so the Titans are optimistic that he'll be. I mean, there's no update since the news came out.
Yeah.
Which is that they're optimistic that he'll be ready by week 1. But I think from a precautionary standpoint, probably week 2.
3.
Yeah, week 2, week 3. Okay. So that's what's looking like. But I think from the Titans' perspective, this is the 1 year where it's not that big of a deal because they actually have receiver depth for the first time in forever. Like if this happened last year, they would have been screwed. But I think this year, just because they have Ridley, they have Tyler Boyd, and I know they're optimistic about how Treylon Burks, their former first-round pick, has come along. Like they have enough in that room to where if he's gone, if he's not out there just for a week or 2,
pretty good weapons.
Exactly. So
I think that's huge, man. In my opinion, I do have the Titans coming up big in that division. I did some looks over the schedule earlier, and I wasn't too happy with what I saw with how the Houston Texans end of the season is going to look like. So I actually sneaky have the Titans winning that division. So I wouldn't be shocked if they come out winning that division based on the schedule. I do think they got some crazy talent at receiver. I think they definitely address you're not going to really replace Derrick Henry, but you can at least get a decent running back. You still need a ground and pound back to go along with Pollard, I believe. And I think I like their tight end as well. I can never pronounce his name. Agankwe. Okonkwo, yeah. So they're pretty good offensively, man. What I saw from Will Levis last year, I saw fire. It was certain plays where I'm like, okay, he's not afraid to risk it. He will make that throw, whether it's in the middle of traffic, whether he has a defensive end coming down right down the lane, knowing he's about to get his head taken off, he's going to make that deep ball throw. So I definitely did like what I saw from it, but I'm looking at it from a schedule perspective.
Yeah.
The Titans does have a favorable schedule, I will say. And with that division being so young at quarterback, Will Levis is the oldest quarterback.
Yeah.
We don't know that, and so Trevor Lawrence has the longest experience with 3 years. That's the longest experience in that division. We're talking 3 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. So it's really that division is really going to be up for grabs. I do like the growth that division is going to be coming into, especially if they keep building around these guys. So I think the sky's the limit with this division. I think the next 3 to 4 years, we're probably going to be talking about, hey, this is another smash mouth division. If those guys, Lamar Jackson is not going to be what he is in the Ravens for that long, brother. So just take it as it is. But that's my bullish take. I'm bullish on the Titans this year. I'm going to be definitely watching them, tuning in. I see the Titans winning that division. I definitely can see it. I think it's going to be something very, very close. I think one team is going to get about 10, 11 wins. It's going to be like 9, 8, and 8 or something like that.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's definitely going to be some tight games in there. But when it comes to that out of conference, out of division schedule, when it comes to the Texans, I'm seeing a lot of L's at the end of the season that I'm like, whoa, that's gonna be costly for the Texans, definitely if they want to finish out on top. So that's my take, guys.
All right, appreciate that. Ben, we know you got to get up early, get to camp in the morning. thank you so much for taking the time to lend us your expertise and share some of what you've been seeing. And yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Have
Man, it's a pleasure, man.
Yep. Peace out. Thank you.
You gotta come back on, bro.
Yes, sir. I got y'all. Let me know, Bruce.
Absolutely.
Definitely, man. We'll talk.
Cool. Bet. Thank you.
All right, brother. All right. So what we're gonna do now, before we go ahead, open up the phone lines. Do you guys have anything that you wanted to add? I wanted to make sure that we gave our guest his time. His time was limited, so I want to make sure.
No, absolutely. So one thing we didn't do, we didn't
Yes.
get you guys' takes on who's leading the division. We didn't get the order. We only got Ben's.
Okay, right. G, go ahead, man.
It's an easy one. Texans,
Yeah.
Titans, Colts, Jaguars.
Okay.
Yeah. I like the Texans.
I like them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got Texans.
It's kind of a weak division, honestly.
Titans,
No shade. It's kind of a weak division.
I think
I wouldn't call it weak.
There's competition within the division.
Yeah.
Premature.
Yeah, that's very good.
I'll take that. Yeah, premature is a very good example. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy. Excuse me.
It's some alphas out here in that AFC.
Facts.
Yeah.
And that, the AFC is mean, man.
Jesus
gonna get
Christ.
it done,
Everybody can't be the Ravens, the Steelers.
No. We're not even saying that. Right? Look at the quarterbacks in the AFC. Mahomes, Burrow. If Deshaun Watson can ever get back to where he was, but still Mahomes, Burrow, CJ Stroud, depending on what Trevor Lawrence ends up becoming, you got freaking Aaron Rodgers in the AFC now. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks in the AFC. A lot of really good.
And they have the youngest quarterback teams, and that's the youngest quarterbacks. They have the youngest quarterback.
A lot of turnover there.
True.
A lot of turnover, and it's going to continue to be a lot of turnover there. And I don't believe it's a lot of turnover in the AFC.
Okay,
South. Jags, Texans. Oh gosh,
that's an interesting. Nah, Jags. Nah,
he must be a Jags fan.
Yeah. Nah,
so
I don't think
who's after Texas, Bruce?
Oh, for me, I said Texans, Colts, Titans, Jags.
I figured that was going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got the Jags.
Everybody got the Jags last. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't believe in it.
And last name. Who's last name?
Okay. I don't know. I saw a last name. He was in the comments on.
He's been here for a minute.
Yeah, he's been here for a minute. He's been on Man Down Sports as well. I think that's probably where he found us.
Shout out last name, man. We don't know your last name.
We don't know your last name, bro. But it's cool. We're glad you're here, man. Yeah.
Welcome, last name. All right.
There you go.
Somebody gotta come in with first name. First name.
That's right, Steve. You did say you was a Steelers fan. Yep.
People sleeping on the Jags. They tough. I mean, they play the Ravens tough every year. So yeah, you're right. But I think when it come down to that playoff football, it's a little different than that season.
What's up, Edward? Yeah, you missed that. We were actually talking to Benjamin earlier about that. In case you missed it, he's an actual NFL reporter, covers the AFC South for Fox Sports, and he was on it. We were talking about the whole Trevor Lawrence contract with him, and basically it's more a function of he's a better than average quarterback, but he got paid based on where the market is right now and what they're hoping they can get going forward.
Definitely.
I am not a fan of that contract. Everyone keeps talking about where the market is right now, but if the owners don't pay these dudes a certain amount, then the market can't go any further. If you don't pay somebody who's not worth it, market resetting money, then the market doesn't have to advance. I don't understand.
See how they did the running backs?
Yeah, they did. That's right.
They stopped it. They were like, "Hey, we ain't paying y'all that. We ain't paying."
They'll never do it for the quarterbacks. AFC South will be way more competitive than the AFC West. That I can agree with. But
that's the Broncos, the Raiders.
Raiders, Chiefs, and Chargers. But I can tell you, the Chargers will be improved, and the Broncos may be slightly improved. But it'll be the Chiefs and the Chargers. But my life, your entertainment, I do agree that the AFC South will be way more.
I think in the next 3 years, this is going to be a very, very good division. We'll know what Trevor Lawrence is going to be. We'll know what Will Levis is going to be. We'll know what Anthony Richardson was going to be. We'll know we kind of see where Stroud's going to be. And I think if you keep putting the players and the key pieces around them like they've been doing, we're looking at a tough division in the next 3-4 years.
That's a fact. All right, well, let's go ahead now, gentlemen.
Hold on. One
Yeah,
quick
G, go
question.
ahead, man.
So if I'm a Dak, right? I want to go to the AFC
Dak Prescott?
South. Yeah, if I'm a Dak Prescott, right? Like this is just look ahead. The Cowboys don't sign him. If I'm Dak, I want to go to the AFC South.
Well, where you gonna go?
Who's taking him?
You got Levis on a rookie deal with those weapons. You got Anthony Richardson on a rookie deal. CJ Stroud on a rookie deal.
They're not
Lawrence
signing
just got
Dak.
paid.
Of
There's
course
nowhere
not
for him to
CJ.
go.
Of course not CJ. But
it's not gonna be Trevor.
Else, it won't be Trevor either. They already invested. They lost their money. But,
Right. So it's where's
he might not have a home, bro. He may not have a home after
You know what they're saying? They're saying the Raiders will probably back up the truck for him. The Raiders don't have a quarterback unless they're bad enough to get a Quinn Ewers or a Shedeur Sanders out of the draft.
Okay.
If I'm the Cowboys, man, I'll let this dude walk, and I try to trade up if I need to and get a Quinn Ewers or a Shedeur Sanders out of the draft. That's what I would do.
I think Cooper will keep him in the fight.
Cooper Kupp? Not Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush. Thank you. Yes, Cooper
I think Rush should keep him in the fight, man. They got some good weapons
as a starter a couple years ago. So
when Dak was out,
but it's kind of different, holding it down until somebody gets back versus being the guy.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Especially with no run game because they don't have no run game. So he definitely did have a run game.
That's the other problem.
Record. So
well, they got Zeke back.
Zeke the freak.
All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready to see if we can open it up and see if we get a couple calls in here before we move on?
Man, call in.
Not opening nothing up. First of all, let's cut that to the chase.
Man, we talk about the phone lines, man. Do I need to get one of them shirts like my man Mel had?
No Diddy.
No Diddy shirt.
Shout out, Man Down Sports. No Diddy.
Shout out, Man Down Shorts with the hash, Man Down Sports.
Take them in the top 10 across the board.
You go.
Crazy work.
All right, what do we do? I will go ahead and open up the phone lines now. Phone number is 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. Numbers on the bottom of your screen scrolling. Give us a call. Give us your thoughts on the AFC South. If you have anything in common on what you heard from AFC South reporter for Fox, Ben Arthur, or anything that we had to say, or any of your own thoughts, 904-219-8264. Let's get it.
And give us your order of the division too.
Yes. Call and give us your order of the division or put it in the chat. Jerry Jones wants Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, last name. That's who I'd be gunning for. But the question is, does he actually want Shedeur Sanders, or is he trying to get Shedeur in some sort of package deal with Coach Prime? That's what I want to know.
As a coach?
Yeah, Jerry's all about the show. But the thing is Coach Prime
Jerry Jones move, man?
Yeah, but would Coach Prime? Well, he already said number one that he never wants to coach in the pros because he would get upset that you got dudes making money who are not giving the effort. So there's that. But on the flip side, do you think that Coach Prime would be the kind of guy that would have an owner, kind of always in the way, always in the camera, not letting him do what he needs to do to have success? I don't think so.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Coach Prime in the NFL in the next 3 to 5 years. I think after his boys finish, he gonna move on to coaching in the NFL. Like I think that was just a project to usher his kids.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, he said he would never coach in the NFL, but it's possible. Anything's possible. Just ask Kevin Garnett.
I'll say it. You can ask Tatum too.
Hey, Tatum's a champion.
Tatum's a gold medalist too, boy.
Tatum is a champion. That's right.
Something like that, biting that gold medal. Like, yeah, I earned that.
Champion, a gold medalist, multiple time first team All NBA.
Man.
2 points off the bench.
Leave that one alone. I ain't even going there, bro. You can get my blood pressure up.
Tatum will put his ring on. He'll put his ring on and ask you with the 5 fingers set to the face. Slap.
Beta. Yeah, beta.
Oh man! All right, we're not even doing
on
this.
His own
team.
That's crazy.
Right. We're not even doing this. Let's go. All right. Let's go ahead and let's get to the next topic, and that is NFC South. This is a bad division, man.
You should have skipped this one.
Yeah, we could have, man. Let's just talk about a little bit about the Falcons, and we can move forward.
Sheesh.
That's an interesting assessment. Huh.
When Brown leaves, I think he goes back to the SWAC, Alabama, AMU. To AMU, A&M.
Alabama. A&M. That's interesting. All right, hold on. We got a call, y'all. Let's take this. Edward, what's going on, man? How you doing, brother?
Doing all right. What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing tonight?
Maintain it. What you got?
Go Steelers.
My prediction for that, go Steelers. But my prediction for the AFC South is that I got Texas, and I want to go Jags, Colts, then the Titans. I mean, that's my prediction for that. Now, when it came to that Trevor, I asked y'all guys about the Trevor Lawrence contract. I think that he got paid off for not what happened previous, but the year before that.
Yeah.
With the playoff
absolutely.
run. That's what he got paid off because, and me, I hate to say that, even though this got such a thing, like Jordan Love got paid off for 7 games. So that's my opinion. That's what I think about it. And then, like, with Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence numbers, they are about the same. I think he deserves Daniel Jones money. Instead of that high contract.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. But here's
it like 35 a year or something like that?
I think 40 million.
40 million?
Yeah. But here's the deal though, right? When you talk about you brought up Jordan Love getting paid off 7 games. So I'm going to push back on that. Jordan Love didn't get paid off 7 games because he's been in that organization for 3 years. They know what they have. They just had to make sure it translated, from the practice field out into the games. They know what they had. That's why they paid him. I think if that was anybody else who had, maybe just come in or whatever, and it was 7 games, all right, that's something different. But they knew exactly what they had already. And from what we saw, how he went in there, sliced and diced the Cowboys in the playoffs, and then he had a really good showing against the 49ers. They were just a little bit outgunned and a little young. He earned that money. It seems like it wasn't enough of a sample size, and I can understand how anybody would feel that, but nah, Jordan Love's he's good to go with that bread, and you're gonna see he's gonna have a really good year this year.
Okay, would you put him ahead of Trevor Lawrence?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, they both won playoff games. That's what I'm asking. Like, they both have them.
But look how those playoff games were won. Like Jordan Love was just basically flawless.
If I'm not mistaken,
he was basically flawless. His first pick came against San Fran.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Trevor Lawrence he had a phenomenal second half in that game. I actually covered that game for the Florida Star. Shout out Florida Star. If I'm not mistaken, he threw 4 picks in the first half of that game. So he was the one who had to dig his team out of the hole that he created. He dug the hole, and then he had to get him out. So for me, you don't get
Jordan Love created the hole and put Dallas in the hole.
Yes.
Put the dirt on top of the hole and call it a day.
Sure did.
Okay.
He did.
See, I can't say it. Yeah, okay. I get where y'all coming from.
Yeah.
It was just about that Trevor Lawrence with him getting that contract. And I can name 10 quarterbacks way better than Trevor Lawrence getting that money.
Yeah, I don't think I can disagree with that. Yeah. I don't think I can disagree. All right, man. You got anything else before we let you go?
Man, that's dog, man. I'm going to continue watching the pod. Man, I just want to give my time in on that. Y'all be safe.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Love you, boy.